Hi, I'm William, and this is Foil Driven. This is my new podcast, The Foil Hack. I'm going to try to put these out on a regular basis, maybe once every week or two, when I've got good subjects that maybe you all want to hear about. And this week I've got a good one for you. I've been playing with the Manta Takeoff Flow, and I have been using the foil drive HP high power motor with that setup. And I'm not quite sure what to make of the results, but let's talk about them. How do I do it? Well, it's not real difficult. Some of you may know that I spent quite some time repairing foil drives. I've got a basic understanding from this kind of electronics from the RC hobby. I built and crashed FPV racing drones for many years. And so this is all pretty basic stuff. It's a motor attached to an electronic speed controller with some Bluetooth in there and a remote control. It's pretty much the basic setup for, it's probably simpler than most drones. That being said, a lot of the connectors come from similar to the RC hobby. I think one of the commenters actually alluded to that from the takeoff review video. And so here you have the foil drive cable, and on Amazon you can find an MR60 cable. It's, I don't know, $7-10. If you didn't want to, say, busher up one of your foil drive cables and you want to test it, as easy as just plugging in the correct way, and the motor actually, if you just plug it in like this, the motor's going to spin the right way. They're both wired pretty much the same. If they're not, then you might run into a problem. You might have to reverse any of the two wires here. So 2 out of the 3 wires, you just swap them around. That'll reverse the motor. That said, I wouldn't really recommend anyone besides me doing this because you'll probably void the warranty on both foil drive equipment and your Manta equipment. So not something I would recommend going outside of their own ecosystems. But I did it because I just wanted to see what this HP motor would act like on a 12S 4-piece system. And I honestly expected a lot more speed because of the higher voltage. So I thought I might get a little bit more higher RPMs. And honestly, I didn't see a whole lot there. There might have been a little bit, but it wasn't enough to say justify like, I don't know, an $800 spend or whatever it is for a foil drive motor these days. $700 or $800 seems like a lot if you have a takeoff flow. But it was certainly close, and there might have been some slight advantage of running this. For me, I think just going back to the standard system, I'll probably swap out in the next couple days back to the takeoff flows standard motor. That said, I did find an area where it may be, there's an advantage here. And I think maybe that's where foil drive was heading with this motor. For bigger riders, it wasn't really so much, it might have a little bit more low end thrust, but I think it's probably running at a lower KV rating, which probably gives them a little bit more efficiency. And I'm sure there's probably there's definitely more bigger magnets in it, so it might be a more efficient motor at the expense of 150 extra grams of weight, which isn't a whole lot. So, and I say that because I rode it for, I don't know, about a half a week, and I tried it in different conditions. I tried it in just like these ridiculously, short period, mid-sized waves, probably, head high or maybe chest high. I got pounded over and over again in these things trying to push it through. And it was, here's one thing to mention. I took about 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes of just going through the middle of wave after wave, duck diving, the takeoff flow. It does it quite well. I posted one video on when you don't dive deep enough, how you get, say, shot out the back, and I had a nice clip of that, which here it is. That being said, I didn't get all the successful duck dives to make a video on duck diving the takeoff flow. I'm sure I'll get another opportunity. That said, I took it out in that. I took it out in dead flat conditions. I took it out. I took this motor out into the flats in say choppy conditions, and I got a 30-liter Axis pump board going with the Axis 939, and the 30-liter pump is not a long 30-liter. It's sort of like a shorter version. It's a 4.2, so it's not like, say, as someone else mentioned. I don't understand why that's important, because if you've got a 410 board, it doesn't really matter so much about the liters as much as the length and how narrow it is. So it's 19 inches or less wide, and say over 4.5 feet. It doesn't really matter as much for volume as it does those dimensions. Those dimensions will help you get going. And this pump is nice. I like riding a shorter, more compact board, when I can. But most of the time I've got to take off with a wave, even with a foil drive, even with this HP motor. I still got to get a bump from some white water half the time. If I'm riding that small, I'm 180 pounds. I think that's about 80 kilograms. So I was kind of hoping that I could throw the HP motor on there in the flats and get it right up. And I thought, if I can do that, then that's going to be that's what I'm going to ride. And it didn't work out. I got up once, but I used, a bump from the river chop that helped me get up. When I tried to go out in dead flat, smooth conditions, it might be my setup. I might have been plowing a little bit too much, but it just wasn't happening. So I switched back the last couple days, and I've been riding the 410 44-liter Axis pump, and on the 999, just to see how it goes for typical riding. And I enjoyed it. It feels like it's probably, maybe it might be a slight advantage over the standard flow motor. But again, not worth, running, a hack job cable or anything like that. So I think I'd rather have a clean setup from the manufacturer. So I probably won't ride this the way it is. But I did a Shorerunner today, and I did it. I have been trying to go to Monster Hole from the beach that I launch on, which is roughly 5 miles each way. I've been trying to do that with a foil drive forever. It's not that I couldn't do it with a foil drive, but it just had to be perfect conditions and the right equipment. This is my second shot at doing it on a flow. The flow's got that extra capacity, and then you add on that HP motor, that might have helped me. I don't know. I'll have to go and try to match it again. The first time I tried it was with the standard motor, but it was really choppy and flat. So today it was mostly flat. There's a few waves. And here you can see me go pumping by at Sebastian Inlet at the very end. Well, that's not the end. It's the midpoint. You can see me go riding by. You can see the conditions. So I rode roughly, 13 1/3 miles in these conditions with the takeoff flow, with the foil drive HP motor on there. It did it no problem. It's only like I say, a 10 or 11 mile run altogether. But when I got back, I still had a lot of battery left. And so I spun circles and just caught a few waves here and there until I got the battery down to about, I want to say 18%, maybe 17%. It gets that low. I'm not trying to squeeze it out, an extra mile out of that. But I think I probably could have got another mile, maybe even a mile and a half more from this run. Now, it's hard to compare because every time you go out on the water, it's different conditions, and the conditions actually make way more difference than, say, the difference between the HP motor and the standard takeoff flow motor, because most of it's how well I'm gliding from wave to wave, if I'm connecting the waves, if it's just smooth conditions. In the entire, say, hour and 20 minutes, I did experience a few dropouts with my receiver. Not sure what's going on there, but it would only happen after I'd been gliding and, say, connecting waves, and occasionally it would lose connection, and it might be one of my settings. I need to go in there and into the remote and see if it cuts off after you haven't had input in a while. So that might be what it is. I'll need to talk to the folks at Manta to see if they have a tip to get rid of those dropouts. But I had 2 or 3 in an hour and 20 minutes, and it never happened as I was hitting the throttle. So, but big win today, just getting that ride out, because I've been striving to do that for a long time. It's cool to just go exploring down the coast and riding the best wave. You can pick out the waves from far back, ride them into the beach, motor out in a diagonal, and do it again. And you could see from the course kind of how I did that, and you could follow it. You can almost see from the Garmin's track exactly where the sandbars in a lot of cases were, because you can see it didn't matter which direction I was going, I was taking pretty much the same route, which is kind of interesting. So I think there's some better breaks when you go exploring, and there was a few that I might have just probably been better off stopping and hanging out and taking those waves for as long as they lasted. But either way, I wanted to get this out of the way. It was fun going all the way down to Monster Hole. So big win on that front for both takeoff and I would say foil drive. I'm going to try to do it again with the standard motor, see if on another, I know I can do it another time with a standard motor. I think I could probably, if I go one way with just all current, I think I could probably break 20 or 25 miles on one battery with this takeoff. So there's a use case for the takeoff. Even if you owned a foil drive, if you were loaded and you wanted both, this one, it's roughly the price of maybe 4 batteries. And I know a lot of foil drive owners have a stack of batteries, so you get 2 basically almost 2 batteries out of it. It's an hour and a half ride, so not a bad deal even if you own a foil drive. And I'm hoping that as more competition comes into this market, because there is interchange. They're all built the same way. This is all pretty much, commercial off-the-shelf products that they've kind of put together on their own inside of their own little packaging. But I'm not quite sure. Maybe Takeoff manufactures their speed controllers and their Bluetooth and their motors, but I doubt it. I think that's pretty much just all assembled. And so I think as we go further and more of these things go on the market, more of them utilize standard connections, I think there's an opportunity to start buying motors that are matched for what you want to do, whether it's having a faster motor that runs through your battery quickly so you can win races, or having one that's like low kV and for just going as long as possible at a low RPM. I think there's a market for that maybe opening up. Maybe there's not enough people yet, but in the future, I think these things could have an aftermarket parts, because everybody likes to hop up their stuff and customize. So I think it's possible. We'll see. It's for now, it's nice knowing that you can kind of pick and choose if you want to, if you can, solder a little bit. There's a lot of opportunity to make these things your own. So I think it's very cool. Neither Foil Drive or Manta have complained to me for experimenting with their stuff. It's we'll see. I'll see after this video. But I for the most part, I think there's an opportunity for more sales if you can sell, say, foil drive motors to Takeoff folks, or vice versa. And I think there's going to be advantages the more manufacturers that enter this market. And this is only going to grow. This is turning into a sport in itself, and you can't have just one manufacturer for an entire growing sport. So it's going to get flooded, and the prices are going to go down. But also you're going to find a lot of not so quality companies. So keep that in mind. I know that Foil Drive is really good with their warranties. We haven't tried with Takeoff, but I assume from talking with those folks that they're probably on a similar level. So I think right now the two, I would consider these two the main competitors. I think Lift is trying to get into this as well. We'll see if I can get my hands on one of those Lift X's to see how it competes, because it's another section of this market. All right, let's see. I think that's pretty much all I have for this episode. If there's something you want to see, there's something you want me to talk about in the next episode, leave it in the comments, and if I can get to it, I will. Thanks.